Clint said he'd be my crow translator.
Go from Cherokee to English. Crow to English, rather.
Okay, I'm just like Pablo. I do it the way I do it. I've made my own rawhide from the day I started, and I've just done it the way I do it, and tried different things, and the way I do it is how I do it, and it works really good for me. I like my rawhide, and there's a million other ways to do it, and several guys that might say I'm wrong, but I can just tell you how I do it, and my rawhide's good. I'm happy with it. But I think when we're talking about what Pablo said, I'll start there with button finish and doing your work. I totally agree. I think at this point, after 40 years or 45 years or whatever the heck it is that I've been doing this, I think right now I can do good work the first time probably as fast as I've ever been able to do it. Just because when I'm tying buttons or whatever, I know where I'm going. I know how I do them. I know how I want them lined out and as I tie them. So I can do those probably as fast as I can do them well. And I don't make as many mistakes. I don't miss passes. I've got the hours in, you know. But I'm with Pablo. I'm probably not the fastest guy to tie that button. I could tie it in 10 minutes, but when I'm tying, I'm working my foundation. As I'm tying that foundation, I'm doing more than tying. I've always got my fit in my hand, and every time I put a string, I put it where it should be. If I make a cross and look at the one below it, I'm pulling it over to the cross as I'm making my passes. So I'm always fixing. Move this string over, move this string over as I'm going, and I end up with a nice foundation to begin with. I'm not just tying a foundation and then spending 40 minutes trying to get the thing straightened around, or else just say hell with it and fill it in and have a button like that, and that's good enough. I'm just always fixing, and when I'm done, it's relatively straight. I'm not saying I don't make sure and look at it and pull across here and there. And then when I'm doing my interweave, you're still fixing on that button. It's not set because you have a good foundation. Every time I put my interweave in, I want that string to run the length of that button in a straight line. When I get to the top and I go under a cross, I want it to lay against that string that it's going back down in. I don't want it round. I hate round-shouldered buttons that are crowded. So I'm not pulling that thing as tight as I can pull it. I lay it next to that other string, come under the cross, and if it's crowded under a little bit, I'm going to straighten that line up again. I want that thing straight up here. I don't want a round cross at the top. I want it to come out, follow that string down straight down the other side. So I'm always moving that stuff. You can see the path of that string as you're working it. You can see where it's got to go. If it's like this, I'm going to run my fid down there, move that cross over so that that string makes a long straight deal down to there to where it goes under my cross again at the bottom. Again, I'm not going to pull that under so far. I'm going to make that lay right alongside that next string, put my fid through, make my deal, put it under, and make it lay alongside that string coming up. And that, when you're done, you're going to have a straight button. Everything's not going to be pulled so tight it's crowded, but every string is going to lay alongside. You're going to have straight lines, and you're going to have sharp corners. You know what I mean? Not round corners at the top, you know, where everything's pulled snug. So that's just what I have to say about that. I'm fixing all the time as I'm tying a button. And when it's done, then it's the way I want it generally. And to me, I might take a little more time tying it, but that's probably faster than beating the hell out of it for 30 minutes with a hammer trying to fix a button that was never straight to begin with. which never works. So anyway, that's about that. Is there any questions?
Nate, listen, when you got a hide, let's say you got off the grill, you got all ready to go, how do you go? Do you cut round? Do you cut straight up down, take the backbone out? I mean, how do you, if you take it around, what would you take it out of and so forth?
Okay.
And after, let's say you cut it into the soga, do you stretch that soga? Or do you just leave it natural?
Yeah, I can answer that question now. I'll go into that probably at the end of when I'm doing the hide prep. But yeah, when I cut one up, I generally, we'll talk about the process, but when I get it in a frame and my hide is done, been sitting in the frame for however long I know it's dry, I'll usually store a whole hide, just stack them up and cut them up as I use them, because I wish I had time to cut every hide up into a soga, split it all the same and hang it up and have all that hide, but I don't. I usually just have stacks of hide. But I cut mine into circles, Jack, different areas of the hide. Like if I don't generally cut over the backbone. If I've got a young hide, yearling, 2-year-old, where you don't see that backbone as a dark strip in your hide, then I'm not too afraid to cut a circle with that in it. But generally I'll cut those things in half, cut it into sides, and then cut circles out of my, up over the neck is a thick area. I'll cut a circle there. I just try to cut circles out of different areas of the hide where the thickness is pretty relative, so that I don't have to split. I don't have to take a circle that's, quarter inch on one side and 1/8 of an inch on the other side, so I got to split this half off. The less I can split a hide and leave it close to its normal thickness, the better, stronger string I'm going to have. So I cut circles out in different areas, cut those circles round and round into a soga, split them to my.
You make sure that when you cut, say off the shoulder, you're not going to get any belly in it if you avoid it.
Right. And to begin with, like I said, it'll go back to my process, but when I get a fresh hide, if I skin them, I skin out what I'll keep. If I get one from, somebody that butchered something or whatever, it might have the legs hanging on it, broken at the knee and the tail and, the whole deal. But I'll just lay it flat out on my yard or whatever, pull it all nice and straight, and then I'll just take a sharp knife, start at the tail head, and then just come around, cut off all that flanky, stay on the inside of that flank a little bit, cut those legs where they skin the legs out, and I'll end up with, most of that hide, but it'll just be kind of in a round, sort of an egg shape, a little narrower up towards the shoulders, but all of that excess off. And then I only have that to flesh. So all of that other stuff, that's what you saw the bear eating behind my house. You guys saw that video my wife posted, but I was going to get back there with the tractor that day, and get rid of all that stuff, and man, he beat me to it, that guy. But anyway, so I'll trim those out like that, and then I'll flesh. I've got a big piece of PVC pipe that's probably, I don't know what it is, about that big around. And I'll lay that over top of something, and that's what I'll flesh on. And I'll take that fresh hide and I'll wash it first. I'm like Pablo, probably not as meticulous. I mean, it's a cowhide, but if it's full of manure, or if it's been a really dusty summer and you hit it with the hose and the water brown runs off it, I'll rinse it off pretty good, or put it in a tub of clean water or wheelbarrow or something, and just try to move it around enough until there's none of that coming out of it. It won't be as clean as his horse hides, but it won't have manure caked on it or blood, or that'll all be kind of washed out of there. Then I'll lay it on there and flesh. I'll flesh that till it's really clean. I try to do a good job of fleshing. I've got a big fleshing knife, and I'll start with that, and then I've got a sharp knife that I use to flesh with, but it's a simple process, however you do it. But just get all that fat, all that meat, rib meat, all that stuff that's on there. So you've just got a clean hide. And then that's what I'll put in my lime bath. I'll take that fleshed hide, rinsed, and if I'm doing a couple, while I'm fleshing the other one, I'll put the other one in some clean water, you know, just to soak in there or whatever. And then I've got I've used 55-gallon drums if I have to, but I've got like a Rubbermaid horse trough, probably, you know, one of those bigger ones. I don't know how many gallons that thing would be, but it's about that long and about this wide, about this high. So I'll do 2 hides at a time in that if I've got them, or just not put as much water in one. But I'll fill that thing up probably, if it's, I don't know, what would they be? I probably put 30 to 40 gallons of water in there, and then I'll put a coffee can would be 3-4 pounds of lime, you know, like a good coffee can, maybe half of another one I'll throw in there. Same deal as Pablo. I'll stir it around with a shovel or whatever till it's real milky white. And you're never going to get it to stay that way. I mean, the lime is going to drop down out of it, but as you keep stirring it, I'll stir it up good, get it milky white like that. At least try to have most of that lime saturated in the water. And then that clean fleshed hide, I'll just put in that trough. And I'll try to keep the hair on the outside as much. I mean, it's just going to kind of flop down in there, but I'll put it in there and move it around. Try to have most of the hair on the outside when I push all the air bubbles and stuff out of it. And then it's just a waiting process. And I'm like Pablo. I'll try to, if I'm in the shop or if I'm coming by with a load of hay or whatever I'm doing, I might run over there and stir it with that shovel, especially the first few days, to make sure that I'm trying to get that lime everywhere on that hide and not have a fold there where when I'm done everything else slips good and then I've got a patch that I have to scrape, which not the end of the world, but you'd like it to not be there. So yeah, it's just a waiting game then, and whenever I'll go out there and do that, I'll reach down and see if I can start pulling that hair off him. And usually the place that I'll check is down the back of the neckline where there's that long hair, and that'll usually be the last to slip. And so if that's coming out of there pretty good, and I check a few places and that hair's slipping really well, then I'll take it out of there. Same thing, I've got like a Rubbermaid wheelbarrow, and I'll put it in that thing. First, I'll maybe throw it over my deal and rinse as much of the lime off it just with the hose as I can. Throw it in that wheelbarrow, put fresh water over it, and just wash it off a little bit. And then I'll put it on that same beam. And what I dehair with is, I mean, you can use a shoe and rasp edge, or it shouldn't be sharp. All you got to do is push that hair off. Mine, I had a little chainsaw bar that I found, and I welded a piece of pipe on either end of it. And that was the first thing I ever made to scrape hides, and I will just always use the same one. It's kind of got a groove in it where the chain runs, and that'll kind of grab your hair. But anyway, that's what I use, and I just start working that hair off as I go around till it's all clean. And then I'll rinse it off real good on there, put it in some more clean water and just move it around, and then I'll take it over. I want to do the same thing with the vinegar to take all that lime out of my hide, neutralize the lime. So what I've got is, and I've done it in barrels. I mean, you can throw a gallon of vinegar and 10, 20 gallons of water and just put it in a barrel and keep moving it around overnight or whatever. But what I've got is an old Ringer wash machine, Whirlpool, you know, the old one with the tub. Yeah. Yeah. And it hasn't quit me yet, and I've had it for a long time. But I'll take that hide out of the water, put it in my Ringer washer, and it holds that thing probably holds 20 gallons of water. And so I'll fill it with water, put a gallon of vinegar in it, and then just start it, and it'll move that thing around in there. And it doesn't move it a bunch, but it just keeps agitating it around. And if my water stays fairly clear in there, I'll just leave it. And if I leave it in there an hour, I'm good to go.
How many gallons of water and how many vinegar?
It probably holds 15, 20 gallons of water
Yes.
and 1 gallon of vinegar. Yep. Yep. But if the water's cloudy right away, then I'll drain it out of there after a while and then put another fresh water and another vinegar. But if I leave it in there an hour, I'm pretty good shape. It'll be more than that. I might go off and do something else and just leave it in there for a long time. But
Is that just white vinegar? Just
yeah,
regular white vinegar?
yep, just clear white vinegar. Yep, 2 packs at Costco for like $5.99. So that's my process. That thing works really good. I've always wondered what I'd do when that thing quits me, because every now and then I got to go under and pull the belt to get it going again. But I think you could get maybe a little cement mixer with a plastic deal on it and just tumble them a little bit like that and maybe do the same thing.
That's what I got, and I took the metal paddles out and put blackboard paddles in.
Uh-huh.
Just out of the blackboard and bolted them back in. So
Right.
there's no sharp metal in there. And I just put a hose so it runs in the top and the water runs out, so it just keeps running.
Yeah.
So the water keeps fresh.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's probably what I'll have to do if this thing ever wears out on me. But so anyway, when I feel like it's been in there long enough, or I come back to it, then I'll just pull it out of that thing, spread it out flat, and I've got my stretching rings are round. They were round. We put them around round bale feeders years ago, and the bulls would just tear them up. We bought a bunch of sucker rod, just heated it and bent it around and welded them to them in 3 places. And eventually, all of those wore out, and the welds broke and everything. And I've got half a dozen of these big rings, and they're probably 7 foot across, something like that. And so I'll just throw one of those down, spread out the hide in the middle of it, and I'll just go around with a knife, and I just stab a knife down through it. So I cut a slit in it, pointing towards the inside of the hide, probably every foot. And then I just lace it on that ring. I got a ball of baler twine there, just orange baler twine. And I like to double that because it'll break when it dries if you leave it single. So I'll double just a long piece and start lacing it through there till I come to the end, and then I'll start a new piece and get all the way around there, and then I'll just work my way around, tighten that up until I'm like Pablo. I don't need to have that thing singing tight in that frame. I just tighten it up until it hangs in there good. And when you pick it up, you'll get kind of a belly in it, but by the time it's dry, it'll make a potato chip out of that sucker rod. So you don't need to have it in there that tight, but just take the slack out. Yeah, you're not stretching the hide at all. You're just taking all the slack out of it. And then I'll set that thing up somewhere. And then I added a step not too long ago. I don't like to give Jay Adcock credit for much, but when he does it quite a bit like I do. But then he'll take when that's in his frame, he'll take he uses an old head knife like you, the round knife, and he'll just start working that round knife, just putting some pressure into that hide and scraping all the excess water off it, work it down, and then work it to the side. And you'll see all that water roll off there, and it might be a little cloudy if you left a little lime in there. There might be a little dirt in it that you never saw, but that really makes it doesn't take that long, and it's a really good step. Boy, it cleans them out really good.
That's on the flesh side, right?
Yeah, just on the flesh side. And that's basically what I'll do when they're laying, up in there wet. Mine's an ulu knife, one of those Alaskan. Yeah, I've got one of those, and it just looked the same shape to me, and so I just started using that. And then it'll just dry in that frame, and when it's dry, I'll take it out and put it on my stack and cut it up like I told you later, you know. I just cut mine. If it's raining out or something, I'll throw a whole hide out on the yard and get it good that way. Or if not, I'll cut mine dry a lot. I've got kind of a set of shears that work pretty good, and I might cut mine in half and cut my circles out dry, and then I'll just soak those up, cut a soga, split it to the same thickness, you know, depending on what I'm going to do, and then cut my final strings out of that soga. And I don't hang them on a fence, you know, to dry or like that, but I feel like you get a pretty good stretch on them when you split them that first time. And I'll also, if I've got, when you get towards the inside and it gets kind of more of a tight corner, I might just put an awl in my vise, and I might just take that soga and pull it around that awl and take a little stretch out of it and get everything kind of straightened around. And
What's the widest soga you cut?
the widest, I don't cut them very wide anymore. Man, if they're a half inch, that's good enough. If they're 3/8, that's even better, like a small circle.
Do you stretch it at all after you cut that soga when you cut?
Yeah, like I said, if I cut round and round and I get my soga, I'll usually split it the first time.
You split it and then stretch it?
Well, yeah, split it just all to the same length. I don't split it down. I just even it up, and then I might pull it around an awl. Just pull it around there with some tension on it, and you get some stretch out of it then, and get some of those curves worked out of it. And then that's what I'll split to my final thickness of string and to width, and then that's pretty much it.
Got a question on dropping back a little bit when you're when you're slipping the hair off of it. When that rolls off, are you getting a real top layer of epidermis there that's holding the follicles? It doesn't have any strength to it, but when it rolls off, it looks like it's together.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, you get all that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that is a good thing. You're not taking any strength out of that hide to get all that epidermis, and a lot of times there'll be dirt. You know, those cattle are running around in dust their whole life, you know, and they might get rained on a time or two, but there's a lot of dirt and stuff in there, and even setting in that hide for a week or in that lime for a week, that's still going to stay on there. So you're getting all that epidermis. When the hair comes off, I don't just have the hair off and then just keep working my way around. I make sure that strip that I've just pulled the hair off is plumb clean. If there's, you can even see follicle. Like I like red hides, and I get a lot of red hides. They're my favorite. But if you work a black hide and get all that follicle out, it can be as clear and as nice as a red hide. The color's a little different, but it can be perfectly clear and really nice if you get that follicle. And if you work that out of there, you see it almost like a paste. You know what I mean? Like little black flecks and a paste. And if you've worked all that out as you go around, and it's work. I mean, you gotta kind of, it takes about twice as long, but you can get a real good clear black hide. It's really nice.
And the other thing, if sometimes a hide will work and maybe I'll get the hide out and then there's a patch around the shoulder or the neck, and you just can't pull the hair out.
Yeah.
Do you go on and do you put it back in the line and?
That depends. I mean, I've pulled hides out that I thought were ready to go, and I start taking the hair off, and every so often I'll get a big patch of hair just for whatever reason, and I've thrown those back in. But if it's just a little here and there, I mean, I don't know why, but you might have just a little tuft the size of a dime that just doesn't slip at all, you know, here and there on there. I'm not gonna worry about that.
It's those plate sides.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
just can't even pull the hair.
Yeah, and if there's just one of those, maybe on a shoulder or something, I might leave that in. I think I'd rather, when I cut that into a circle, or when it's in the deal, I can scrape that with a pocket knife, just like you'd scrape a hide and have that out of there. And really, when you, there might be a spot in your string that long that is a scraped spot, but it doesn't really act much different. Yeah. And I will, I mean, that's not, I don't mind dry scraping a hide. I mean, I don't, if I have a nice red hide and I want some scraped hide, I'll sure just not put it in a lime, clean it up, flesh it, put it in my circle and let it dry, and then I'll scrape the hair off it in that frame. And if you do that right and don't eat into that top layer and everything, that it's good hide. It feels a little different than the limed hide. It looks a little different, but a real pretty dry scraped hide gives a different look, and I don't mind making hackamore body out of one of those, you know, and using it because I like the look of it sometimes, just for a different look. Yeah.
You ever put a lot of soap on your hides when you're cleaning them?
Soap?
Like, yeah, soap them, like when you've got it all scraped and you got that little pad, put some Dawn dishwashing liquid on that spot and continue when you come back, and you get hair. Do you do that?
Oh no, not really.
Yeah,
But
soap will open that follicle.
so put like some Dawn on them
Yeah,
on
I
those
just spray
spots,
that,
and
like you got that little dime spot that you don't like.
Uh-huh.
You know, you're scrubbing, you just want it off, you know?
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and put the Dawn dishwashing liquid on that spot. I got that 5 times degreaser. I just spray that and I go on with my hide, you know, because I scrape mine so that it's going in a circle around the donkey. And you come back to it, it's on the other end, you're done. It'll come off.
I'll be darned. I'll try that.
The alcohol opens the follicle that's in the soap.
Gotcha.
So it will release, but if it's stuck there real hard, you know, big patch.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know.
The shears that you got, you remember where you bought them?
Yeah.
What they look like?
I do. I paid about $4 for them in the garden section of a Walmart.
Oh my God.
And I've never found a pair that'll cut a dry hide.
Yeah.
I've bought to replace them because someday they used to open up, you know, on a spring, and now they're not, and they're about wore out, but they'll still cut dry hide. But I've bought good tin shears, you know, and tin snips and everything, and they won't even,
Yeah, I got a whole box of that stuff.
Yeah,
I have
they
to
won't even
timber
touch
mine
'em.
to cut it with a knife, and then 4 days later it dries, and I can roll it up and put it in the box.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, you got some shears, that'll save me days on it.
yeah, I can't find them again, and they're just cheap looking little deals, but I can, if I kneel on one side and lift up on the other side, I can cut a circle out of the hip of a dry bull hide with those sudden guns.
Luck.
Yeah, pure luck.
When you talk about scraping height or scrape height, do you prefer like knife scrape or wire wheel or stick and dash or?
I just knife scrape. I thought I was gonna do the wire wheel once, and I even bought some, and I looked at them and I just never, I'm not saying it's wrong or bad or anything. It's just for me personally, I enjoy making hide just like I do braiding hide. I enjoy, you know, it's dirty and you're wet and you got stuff all over you, but I'm working with my hands, and I know I'm gonna have a nice hide and something to work with when I'm done, and I just don't want to sit there and listen to a damn wire wheel or a side grinder. I don't. I thought of that when I bought it, and I just never ever did it. And I like knife scraping a hide. You know, I've got a pretty sharp knife, but it's got a pretty round bellied bottom on it, and I'll just work that with 2 hands and just scrape that. I'll clip it first. I will take a set of animal clippers and just clip that hair till it ends up being maybe a 1/4 inch long, but just like you shaved it, and then that's what I'll scrape.
Does that knife have handles on it, or you just hold it in the?
No, it's just an old knife that my grandfather on my mom's side made. He'd been dead for I don't know how long, or maybe it was her grandfather, I don't know, but I got it. But it's just a knife that's shaped pretty round, and he just beat it out of some old whatever, and it's just got a horn handle on it. But I just kind of hold it with the handle and my other hand on the blade and just scrape with it, you know.
Kind of like a Bowie knife.
Yeah, I keep it fairly sharp, yeah. But you're not really shaving, it's just taking it off in a little strip about, I don't know, maybe 1/2, 3/8 inch wide as you go, and you just keep working it.
With the hair?
Yeah, kind of with the direction of the hair. Yep.
You put any, like, soap or water or anything?
When I'm scraping?
Yeah.
No, bone dry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't wash it off or nothing, keep.
Yeah, and just keep
scrape until you're done.
knocking that hair down off it. Yeah. Yep.
I never make a dry scrape. 3,000 hides in 5 years, not one of them was dry scrape.
Yeah.
Come on. Well, I mean, that hide, you might have her explain, and she has really good hide. If you really wouldn't mind sharing her theory on how she lines the hide.
Basically, just like you, but I'd, what do we call it, slake the lime, so I just use the water, so I don't have all that white stuff.
So you mix it up and then
Yeah, I mix it and let it sink down and just take the water.
Then take
so
the water off?
You don't have to deal with all that white stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, I do the same as you, and I clean it up all the time.
I see.
And the scraper that ulul, I use that too.
Mhm.
It's a lot of humidity in the air in Denmark, so it takes a long time to dry it if it's raining. And I found out if I was scraping all that water out, it dried up a lot faster.
Yeah. Yep.
But and I really like not to deal with all that white stuff.
I see. Yeah, and that is the thing. I mean, like I said, you mix that lime up and it looks milky white, and you put your hides in, but when you dump that out, there's 2-3 inches of white, wet lime in the bottom of your deal.
I never thought I could get it out of the hide again, even though I washed and washed and washed. Then I figured out what is it I need the basic water, and then I tried it.
And it slips in the same amount of time as if you leave the lime in there.
Clean and nice, no white stuff all over.
So do you just bucket the water out and put it in a different thing
Yeah.
and leave the sludge?
And you,
Huh.
it works so much.
That's interesting. I might try that. It's hard to trust that it's going to slip your hair without all that sludge on the bottom.
It does the job exactly, and you just don't have all that white stuff. Because if I felt it was sitting in the hide and maybe hide a little stiff,
Mm-hmm.
then it might be just the water, the basic water.
Yeah.
Then I tried and it's not.
So how long do you mix it up really good a bunch of times, or
No,
just
I
mix it up and then
really good.
really good and
Then
then
I leave it until it's, the white stuff is
how long's that?
a couple of hours.
Couple hours?
Prefer to let it sit longer, and then the water is totally clear.
And then you just come back at that point.
Just have to be pretty, don't stir it out.
Right.
Then I put it in the bucket, ready to go.
Interesting.
So nice.
Yeah.
And because that's stiff, all that white stuff you would stuck in the hide, I felt.
Yeah, could be.
Don't need it.
That's good to know. Any more questions?
Thank you. Can I add something,
Sure.
please?
Yeah.
When he talks about taking a shovel and moving his hide around and everything, something I got to doing is on all 4 points of the cowhide, neck, tail, and the sides, I make slits and put baling twine in there. and I put it in flesh side down into the water, and then I go by and I go washy, 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 and I'm able to move that hide around without going through the hard work of using a shovel.
So if you're really lazy like Clint, you,
Cowboys don't use shovels. And then another thing that Nate gave a talk one time, a long time ago, about a chainsaw blade. And I said, I gotta have a chainsaw blade. That's all there is to it. And I couldn't find one. Cowboys don't have chainsaws. And I went to the store and I was gonna buy a chainsaw blade, one of those chainsaw blades that they got, you know. I don't know, it was 50 or 60 bucks. Cowboys don't have 50 or 60 bucks. So when I got that hide out that I was working on at the time, I had a piece of PVC pipe over there. I don't know, 3/4 inch PVC pipe, and it's about that long. And I run that down that hide and pull the hair off. And then I sat there a little bit. And I said, well, let's just see what happens now. Into the black hide, and I pulled it off with that round PVC pipe that didn't have that groove on it, like you said we needed, and it pulled that epidermis off and it made the prettiest hide.
just a round pipe.
Used a round pipe.
PVC pipe.
Huh.
And white PVC. White. Gotta be white.
Something that worked
No
for me-
grooves.
Something that worked for me was a piece, the last one I did was a piece of rebar, about this long, 1/2 inch rebar. And it worked great.
Yeah.
Pull that hair off.
That just, and who'd have thought a piece of smooth PVC pipe would work like that?
Yeah,
And that's all I've ever used, is
I'll be done.
PVC pipe.
I used to know machete, I buy them cheap machetes from Harbor Freight, they grind them so they're, not sharp at all.
Yeah.
Nice and fine, so real comfortable in my hands, so that's what I do. The other thing I do on the stern is I found the best thing to stern the hide with, honestly, is a canoe paddle. I buy a wood canoe paddle.
You realize how much those canoe paddles cost?
I
do.
get them for like $8 at a pretty good store, but they last me 3 or 4 years. They last me a long time.
but I was gonna tell you, Clint, in Montana, cowboys do have chainsaws. You dang right. And you wear them out, and that's when you get your chainsaw bar, so you just pull that sucker off there.
Is that what you're
He
using?
starts cutting to the side.
What's that?
Is that what you're using, all wore out chainsaw?
Yeah, when I was younger, or just starting, I was gonna make hide, and we had a little old McCullough chainsaw that was wore out and not good anymore, and Dad had bought a new one, and so I just thought that might be a pretty good thing, and pulled it off of there and just welded 2 pieces of pipe on each end. That's all I've ever used.
You learn how to use your tools.
Yeah, yep.
I know you have one, and I have one. It's kind of like that little disc, and it's like a battery-operated plane
No cutter, yeah.
that we used to cut through the hide,
Oh, yeah.
and that looks really good.
Oh, like that little oscillating
No,
tool?
no, it's just like a, and it's self-sharpening or something. It's got this little nice.
It's like a family cutter.
Is that for
When it's on the
carpet?
mower.
It's for
Yeah.
carpet, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
carpet.
and all the sharpens and everything. You can buy them at Harbor Freight, any of those stores. And I don't have, I brought mine, I think. And they got a battery in them, and you can cut up 2 sides. You can cut up a whole hide into all your circles with this deal. And you all have seen it here. I've used it here before.
You'll have to show me.
And you can just zip right around, and if your hide is tempered, and cut your circles very, very easily. There's another.
Will it cut a dry hide?
I cut it dry. I got a heavier one than yours, and mine goes to dry hide.
There's another kind of nipper that they cut metal with for roofs and everything, and it cuts out about 1/4 inch out of that hide. And I've cut dry hides up with it, and it works very, very well.
It's a nibbler.
Yeah, nibbler,
Yeah,
a nibbler, and they're very, very good on that. And the one I got is very old, but the new ones, I'm sure they have battery powered now and everything. if I was gonna cut some dry hides up, I'd go buy one of those in a heartbeat.
Interesting.
It's just they're easy to use and everything.
That's what I use from Harbor Freight, what he's talking about.
Huh.
You just
But you cut tempered hide, right?
Yeah, I soften my hide, but like trimming your circles and stuff, it just plugs into the wall. They're, they're $40. You pay, if you pay the $3 $3 warranty on them, you can get a new one for $3 when they go bad. But I've had 2 of those in my shop. Last time Pablo was there, I had them. That's what,
I use the knife.
I think we're
Use it
good.
from
Yeah, I think so.
professional.